This is the story that has me fired up first tonight, folks. For the second time this week, President Obama reached out to the obstructionists who are on a mission to see him fail. On Monday, the president went over to the Chamber of Commerce and told America's businesses leaders to, well, you show some economic patriotism by creating some jobs. Well, today, the president had House Republicans over for lunch. He met with John Boehner, House Majority Whip Kevin McCarthy, and also House Majority Leader Eric Cantor. On Tuesday night, Cantor was talking smack. He was talking a big game before the big lunch with the president. Cantor took the president to task for his statement that he made on the chamber on Monday.
As we work with you to make America a better place to do business, I'm hoping that all of you are thinking what you can do for America. Ask yourselves what you can do to hire more American workers, what you can do to support the American economy and invest in this nation.
What you can do to help America. It's a golden soundbite, isn't it? Cantor didn't like how President Obama called his buddies on the carpet. He told reporters, quote, "That's not how it works. Washington doesn't just wave a magic wand and necessarily business creates jobs. Want to bet?" Cantor was singing a different tune after he met with the president this afternoon.
We did have a fairly robust conversation about the need for all of us to work together to send a signal that we're serious about cutting spending. The economy so desperately needs us to work together to send the signal that we should start growing again as America, because that's what America does best. It innovates and leads.
Generic garbage. Mr. Cantor, the president has a great way to innovate and lead. It's called high-speed rail. On Tuesday, Vice President Joe Biden rolled out the president's $53 billion idea to create high-speed rail all over America.
We'll develop a backbone for this national high-speed rail system, putting trains on dedicated tracks that can reach 220 miles an hour and higher. These are real live jobs that pay real good money that people can raise a middle-class family on.
That would be the manufacturing sector, like steel, like rubber, like plastics, like electronics, all of that stuff. Well, Republicans, they don't know the first thing about creating real live middle-class jobs. You know, those jobs couldn't be outsourced either. There's no way John Boehner is going to let the president have one dime to create jobs with high-speed rail. It's a pipe dream. Here's Boehner's bright idea to create jobs in America.
We got a lot of work to do, but the American people expect Washington to cut spending in order to grow jobs in America.
Cut, 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 cut. Boehner is completely delusional if he thinks that he can create jobs by cutting government spending. That kind of thinking is nothing but, I guess you could say, Tea Party garbage. Boehner is now part of the flock. This is what he said on a hard right-wing radio talk show in Cincinnati.
Is John Boehner a member of the Tea Party?
I should be.
Are you?
I don't know if I actually pay dues, but I'm a big believer in the Tea Party. I talk to Tea Party activists all over my district and all over the country every day.
Every day. See, it's all about the money. He didn't know if he'd paid dues. Leave it to Boehner to show his cards in the safe haven of conservative right-wing talk radio. Well, Boehner and the Tea Party have done nothing to create a single job since this country has put the gavel in his hands. Well, today, the DCCC launched a website, whenarethejobs.com. Not where are the jobs, but whenarethejobs.com. It lists the days, hours, minutes, and seconds Boehner has been speaker and the number of jobs that he's created, and that, folks, would be a big fat zero. Now, the president has done everything he can to reach out to conservatives on jobs, how they have a responsibility to really quit the games, don't they? Stop all the political games. You know, we got all these financial networks, all these financial networks that are out there. I mean, we have one, CNBC. The guys across the street, they've got a financial network. Bloomberg's got a financial network. Maybe I'm not watching enough. But I've never seen a Republican go on any one of these networks and lay out a jobs package of what we're going to do in America to create jobs. It's always cut spending, lower taxes. Cut spending, lower taxes. I mean, They're void of any idea at all. So when the president puts out a $53 billion package for high-speed rail, which would make people's lives easier, which would save money in the long haul, which would create jobs that couldn't be outsourced, what do they say? No, we can't do that. They say no to everything. It's in their DNA. American business needs a clear roadmap. At this point in time in our history, a clear roadmap from the government on the best way to get the money into the hands of American consumers. That's kind of socialist, isn't it? I love it. Overregulation, my friends, is not the problem when it comes to jobs. President Bush was a master of deregulation. His policies did nothing to create good middle-class jobs in this country. Just look at the numbers. Investment in American workers is what it's all about. It is really the key to turning this new normal of 9% unemployment, turning it around. But if you're going to say no to everything, if you're going to be afraid to try something, if it's all about political power and the concentration of wealth, we're not going to get anywhere. And here's what the conservatives really despise. It worked with the automobile industry, and it worked so good, they're paying it back. And they just cannot stand the fact that there's a successful business story that government was involved in to give American workers a shot in the arm. You see, that Chrysler ad just really sticks it to them, doesn't it? Those are American workers who are sitting at home saying, look what we did. And the Republicans are cursing it. That's basically what they're doing. See, now, we could do this with high-speed rail. We have enough millionaires and billionaires and big shakers in this country who could be a part of a public-private investment to create jobs and go the distance with high-speed rail. But you see, there's just too much uncertainty out there. They just don't believe in President Barack Obama. So they're not going to do it. They're going to sit on their resources until maybe somebody else gets in there to their liking. It's really a sad scenario. We're going to have this hang up till the next election. It's unfortunate. The Democrats and this administration are not void of ideas or passion or guts or willingness to try something. It's the Republicans who constantly stand in the way of everything. Get your cell phones out. I want to know what you think tonight on this subject. Question is, has the new GOP House majority done anything to create jobs? Text A for yes, text B for no to 622-639. We'll bring you the results later on in the show. Joining me now is Robert Reich, former U.S. Labor Secretary under President Clinton, currently a professor of public policy at UC Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy. Mr. Reich, good to have you with us tonight. Let's talk about this. You bet. Let's talk about this high-speed rail. $53 billion. The Republicans won't go along with it. But does a project like this have merit, in your opinion?
Well, we have a huge problem in this country, a lack of infrastructure. Our old infrastructure, our highway system is basically degrading. We don't have a high-speed rail. You know, most modern countries, Japan, Europe is building it. We see even China is building a high-speed rail because it is one of the most efficient ways of moving people from place to place. So, yes, that is the future. That's what we ought to be investing in. That would create jobs immediately, but it also would grow the economy and create jobs in the future.
This is Mr. Boehner just hanging his hat on cutting spending. Here it is.
Clearly, our number one issue is getting the economy going again and getting people back to work. And we believe that in order for that to happen, that we need to cut spending. We need to stop unnecessary regulation that's hampering small businesses' ability to hire people.
You know, Mr. Rice, we keep hearing that cutting spending and getting regulation out of the way, but they never tell us what regulation is in the way of creating jobs in America. Can you address that?
Well, for years, Ed, they've been saying health regulation, worker health, worker safety, environmental regulation. They basically don't like any of these regulations, and nor do many big businesses. But the fact of the matter is that health and safety and environmental regulations are critically important to America. Without them, we would not only be less healthy and less safe, and our environment would be degraded, but also we would not have the kind of jobs we do. I mean, actually, interestingly, and this is something they will never talk about, a lot of regulations, because they force businesses to meet those regulations, like the fuel economy standards, they actually promote innovation because businesses compete against one another to get to those low fuel economy standards.
Why are they against every idea? Is it all about political power? And it doesn't matter what Democratic president would be in there. It's all about the power and their ideas, and they just constantly chip away with the same bullet points and no package in front of the American people to really create jobs. Or am I reading this wrong?
Well, I think eventually, Ed, I mean, the American people are going to want to know where's the beef. They want to know from Republicans exactly how are you going to create jobs. I mean, the present-day Republicans have not only been saying the same thing, that is, get rid of spending and taxes and regulations. They've been saying the same thing for 30 years, but even before the Great Depression, even in the 1920s. If you go back to the rhetoric of Herbert Hoover that got us into trouble, got us into the Great Depression, what you hear then is exactly the same thing. Cut taxes, cut spending, balance the budget, get rid of regulations. And that was the mentality and still is the mentality of Republicans who apparently have not learned a thing in 80 years.
Sooner or later, the president's going to have to fish or cut bait with this crowd. They're not going to help him out. They're not going to work together. He can have them over to lunch all he wants. Fact of the matter is, they're against him. They're against everything he puts up there unless they do it their way, the Republican way. In your opinion, what should the president do at this juncture?
Well, I think the president has to, and it's very important that he appears, but also genuinely holds out an olive branch, attempts to cooperate, attempts to talk with them, says, look, what do you want to do? Here's what I'm proposing. What's your idea?
But that doesn't get him anywhere. That doesn't get him anywhere.
Well, but here's where it gets him right now. It didn't get him anywhere before, before the past election, before the by-election, Ed. But it's going to get him places now because his approval rating keeps on going up while the Republican approval rating keeps on going down because Americans want politicians who are going to be constructive, who are going to actually work together, who are going to build something, whether it's high-speed rail or it's whatever other way of getting the jobs. Americans don't want naysayers, and they don't want people who are just going to sit on their hands and say, no, we're not going to cooperate, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. And that's where the president really is gaining ground.
Mr. Reich, always a pleasure. Good to have you with us tonight on The Ed Show. Thanks so much.